Welcome. Safety is our absolute top priority. Only through working together can we prevent unsafe situations from occurring. After all, that is everyone's responsibility. Those who are fully aware of their responsibilities are always one step ahead at times when things may go wrong. So an awareness of health, safety, well-being and the environment is not just a 9-to-5 job. It has to be second nature. As well as the information that has already been harmonized, site and company-specific information also applies. Ask for it. Today, we'd like to draw your attention to electrical hazards. Incidents involving electricity can have disastrous consequences. In order to prevent them, the tasks and responsibilities of everyone involved in work on electrical systems must be absolutely clear. You also need to be aware of the risks posed by dangerous electrical situations and be able to recognize such situations. Not just anyone can work on electrical systems. That is only permitted if you have written authorization. Be aware that you are not allowed to work on live systems. An exception to this is if you are carrying out measurements. You can't see electricity, you can't smell it, and you can't hear it. But if you feel it, it may already be too late. Electricity can cause serious damage. The potential risks and consequences are electrocution, serious burns, shock-induced stumbles or falls, fire, an explosion, and damage to materials and tools. Work on live electrical systems and equipment is strictly prohibited. When working on electrically powered equipment, this must be electrically locked and isolated if necessary. A number of people are involved in work on electrical systems. They have written authorization to work on electrical systems. One of these people is the person responsible for an electrical system. He is responsible for the electrical system. This person must be informed in advance before any electrical work is carried out. Then there is the nominated person in control of a work activity. He is responsible for the safe conduct of all electrical work. The nominated person in control of a work activity gives authorization to start electrical work, or he is in charge of carrying out this work. In addition, he informs all concerned of any specific dangers associated with the job. A skilled person is also involved in work on electrical systems, as he is a qualified electrical technician. He is capable of and authorized to carry out electrical work without supervision. Finally, the instructed person is involved in work on electrical systems. This person has been trained sufficiently to work safely with electricity. In addition, he is permitted only to carry out simple, low-risk tasks, but he must first have received specific job instructions. You should not rely blindly on these people's responsibilities, as you also have a responsibility of your own when it comes to working safely, of course. Therefore, before starting any electrical job, you must satisfy yourself that all necessary electrical isolations and locks are in place. If you are in any doubt, or if anything is unclear, ask for guidance. For all electrical work, a permit to work is required. So the permit to work must be completed before the work begins. Check and discuss them as well. Next, the permit to work must be approved. Only then can work begin. Isolations may only be carried out by an authorized person. If necessary, the authorized person may also issue written or verbal instructions. In addition to the permit to work, there are other matters that you need to act on first before you start working. Participate in the toolbox meeting. Inspect your workplace. Familiarize yourself with escape routes and muster points. Together with the person who has done the isolation work for you, check that the equipment you are going to be working on has been made safe in the correct manner. Always take your own measurements to check that the equipment you're going to be working on is electrically dead. Finally, carry out a last-minute risk analysis. Any doubts about workplace safety? Convince yourself. During the work too, there are issues on which you need to focus your attention. Check regularly that your workplace is still safe. Report any changes in the situation to the site manager or supervisor. If anything in the permit to work is unclear or there are any deviations from it, stop work immediately. Never improvise. Report any defects or damage immediately. This includes defective or loose earth connections. Always use the correct materials, tools and measuring instruments, and take explosion risk zones into account when doing so. Evaluate the situation regularly and remember that the circumstances in which you are working can change. Weigh up any risks and dangers. Take appropriate action. And finally, if necessary, take additional precautions. There are various additional precautions you can take to work safely. For example, do not wear any conductive material, such as rings, necklaces, or watches. Use the correct personal protective equipment, such as insulated arc flash gloves, face shield, arc flash clothes, etc. Lay rubber mats on the floor. Wear insulated shielding and use insulated tools. Use double pole voltage detectors. And finally, make sure you have someone on hand who can intervene immediately if anything goes wrong. A second person as a rescuer. Note that electrical isolations may only be carried out by an authorized person. There are 5 steps to a safe workplace. You start with isolation, which involves making the equipment on which you are working completely electrically dead. Next, you have to secure the equipment against reconnection. You do that by locking out, attaching a label, tag out, and preparing an isolation sheet. Then you check to see that there is indeed no operating voltage, or you demonstrate that there is no voltage at all. If necessary, the equipment is earthed and short-circuited. Finally, you need to shield any non-isolated live equipment that you might touch while working. You may not start working until all these steps have been implemented to secure the workplace. Do you still have any doubts about workplace safety? Convince yourself that any electrical system is electrically dead before starting work on it. To work safely on electrical systems, always remember the slogan, "Be sure, take measurements." When carrying out electrical work, you should take into account any explosion risk zones that are present in a system. An explosive atmosphere is a hazardous mixture of oxygen with a flammable substance, such as a gas, vapor, or dust. If ignited, fire will spread quickly throughout the entire mixture. Potential sources of ignition include mechanical or electrical sparks, hot surfaces, and static electricity. Drawings showing the different zones are available at all installations. Zone 0 means that an explosive gas mixture is present continuously or for long periods. In Zone 1, an explosive gas mixture is likely to occur in normal operation. Zone 2 indicates that an explosive gas mixture is not likely to occur and, if it does, will persist for a short period only. If you work in these explosion risk zones, you may only use hand tools and measuring instruments that are suited to such zones. If any permanent earth connections need to be loosened, this work may only be carried out by an authorized electrical technician. In cases of electric shock, administer first aid. Switch off the power. Make sure that you do not expose yourself to electricity when approaching or touching the victim. Make the victim safe. Immediately alert the medic or a first aider. A permit to work is required for all work involving the use of electrically powered equipment. This also applies to non-electrical work. The permit to work states whether or not the equipment must be electrically isolated. Note that electrical isolations may only be carried out by an authorized person. You isolate motors and pumps at the control panel, motor control center, and on the ground. using the local switch. Before using any handheld power tool, check that the inspection sticker's expiry date has not passed. In addition, check the condition of the plug, power lead, and housing. This means examining them to see whether they are undamaged. Check that no temporary repairs or modifications have been made. Look for wiring connectors or insulating tape. Finally, check whether any plugs have been replaced. If you have any doubts, check with an authorized electrical technician. Use double insulated hand tools. These can be recognized by this symbol. In addition to fixed electrical equipment, you'll also have to deal with portable electrical equipment. Generators, concrete mixers, upright drills, etc. Portable electrical equipment must be fitted with a Class 1 plug. That's an earthed plug with yellow and green wire in the power lead. A Class 1 plug can be recognized by this symbol. Many fixed items of equipment are connected to the plant earth, in compliance with safety requirements. These include electric motors, cable ducts, and ladders. Any temporary equipment must also be connected to earth. This includes scaffolding, metal site offices, and metal supports for construction power. Only an authorized electrical technician is allowed to temporarily loosen the permanent earth connection to connect temporary equipment to earth. After the work, the original situation must be restored by an authorized electrical technician. The use of portable generators must be kept to an absolute minimum. Wherever possible, use a permanent or temporary mains power supply. If you have no choice but to use a generator, then the generator must be inspected and approved by an authorized electrical technician before use. In any case, at the very least, the nominated person in control of a work activity must give his approval. The authorized electrical technician determines whether and how the generator needs to be earthed and checks that it is safe to use. If you have any questions or require further information, you can always contact your site manager or supervisor. And remember, work safely or don't work at all. Good luck!